To this story now, Airports Company South Africa has recorded a 91% pre-COVID year-to-date passenger traffic recovery. The ACSA management team gave a post-peak season update for the period between 1st of December 2024 and the 16th of January 2025. In this period, although growth was registered, challenges around jet fuel supply and power interruptions were recorded at major airports, including OR Tambo. The organization says it had not recorded significant security incidents in this period, with plans afoot to build a specialized court to deal with aviation cases. Now, joining us for more on this is SABC News reporter Katlego Legodi, who is monitoring that briefing. Katlego, as always, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. So, among others, ACSA has recorded a 400 million profit for the financial year 2023-2024. Just talk us through the salient points of that briefing that you were at today.
A very good afternoon to you, Mfundo, and of course to our viewers at home. Well, ACSA just giving us a sense of the state of affairs at the organization. Remember that most of these organizations are still referring to pre-COVID times. And we see them saying that they are well on the way to recovery, looking at just this past festive season. So here they were giving us a breakdown of the numbers from the 1st of December to the 16th of January 2025. So they give us a sense of air traffic. They give us a sense of the numbers of passengers that had moved in there, but also giving us a sense of the incidents and the challenges that they had to endure as an organization in trying to navigate this tricky period for the entity. So we see them saying that really what is categorized this period was growth in both on-air traffic and also in terms of the numbers that we see walking into 9 of these airports that are managed by Airports Company South Africa. So here they were anticipating about 3.42 million of these passengers to visit their airports, but they're saying that this has shot up to 3.55 million of those passengers coming through. Also just giving us a sense of really the state of affairs in terms of their finances. You're right to say that they're now moving into the space of profitability. Just last year, around September, they gave us a sense of how they've been doing since 2023, 2024, that financial year, and we saw them registering here a 472 million rand in profit here, and they're saying that really what we're seeing today being announced builds on the work that has been done over time in trying by all means to recover from COVID. So they're telling us a good story, but saying here, Mfundo, that they're not out of the woods yet, as you can imagine that they're navigating now this challenge around jet fuel.
Speaking of that challenge, because ACSA has, in as much as they've recorded these very impressive results, they have been marred by a lot of challenges, among them being the jet fuel crisis. This was a concern to many, but we do know that the Transport Department has since secured 120 million litres of jet fuel. So to a certain extent, they have secured this and resolved the crisis, but nevertheless, it was a serious crisis. Did they touch on this today?
They did, most definitely in terms of the concerns. Remember that there's a company here that has been the supplier of jet fuel, and we saw this company, just the oil refinery, just moving into a space of a crisis after there was a fire there. So since that fire that we saw earlier this year, there have really been uncertainty in terms of how February is going to go, how much is going to go, and whether that facility would be able to have been recovered when the liters of that jet fuel depletes. So we hear them saying that it's been all hands on deck. Really, when you look at it, Minister Gwede Mantashe is one person that is very pivotal in terms of the role that he plays here as the Minister of Petroleum, Minerals and Petroleum, but the Minister of Transport as well. You've said there that they've managed to get those millions of liters that will move into securing the flights on air. But we see them saying that they are looking also at a permanent solution here, something that would create some sort of a buffer here when there's a challenge on the ground. That's one thing that Minister Mantashe also mentioned, to say we have a state-owned entity here, this being Petro SA, that should be playing in that space, but it has not been playing in that space. And he was saying that really, if we didn't have one company that was the sole provider of this jet fuel, then we wouldn't have a crisis similar to what we're having here. But we see them now exploring various of these options and really more or less seeking to assure passengers of air safety, just saying as well that they're moving to ensure that they will roll out projects to ensure that they refurbish some of these entities, and the issue of jet fuel remains apex, really.
We understand that they revealed that they're looking at specialized courts for aviation cases. Just unpack this for us.
So they said really that when we looked at that period, 1st December to the 16th of Jan 2025, they had not picked up a major incident that would be a cause for concern. But security is still apex in terms of ensuring that they arrest those that would be walking into the country, maybe with counterfeit or even drug smugglers or syndicates that would be operating within the aviation space. And they're saying that often when you see these cases playing out, they would end up in the courts, and they wouldn't have control, or they wouldn't even know how far the cases would go. And even the CEO today giving us a sense of, we find ourselves having to go queue there at the Kempton Park police station when there are such cases. So they would want in the future to roll out a specialized court that would look at these cases so that they're able to give us follow-ups. Today we're asking them about the arrest, to say where do some of these drugs end up? Are we getting to the syndicates in terms of the masterminds behind all of these? Are we communicating with countries of concern where maybe we're seeing some of these drugs? It's a pattern that you're picking up at ACSA, but they're saying that this will play out in the courts. But important here, Mfundo, it's something that they gave us a sense of going into 2025, 2026.
But they have to canvass it with the Justice Ministry, because it's to a certain extent beyond their purview when you speak of specialised courts.
Yeah, so they have to do that. They have to ensure that there are resources available to support what they are pushing here. But this, I guess, forms part of various of the projects that they'll be rolling out 2025 going into 2026. And they're saying that here they've secured monies, they've secured billions, over 200 billion that would go into various of these projects. They're talking about 16 projects that would mean the refurbishments of some of these airports. They will talk about issues of stability in ensuring that there's also manpower on the ground. But most of them, just excitement around the fact that things are starting to move now at ACSA. And you even hear the CEO just optimistic, saying that they're not looking at returning to those dark days. They're looking instead of ensuring that at least by the end of the year they push to 100%. Now they're at 91%. So the ambition and the aim here is to push for 100% recovery and to ensure that there's a buzz on air as much as we see traffic here on the roads.
Most certainly they can speak of projects boldly, because they've got a healthy profit, 400 million to be exact, to plant into some of these projects. Katlego, as always, thank you very much for joining us on the program. That's SABC News reporter Katlego Lehodi speaking to us today post that media briefing by ACSA.